or do it now? Yeah, let's do it now while we're all working on it. Okay, please go forward with your report.
If I may, Your Worship, before Council is a report for the approval of the ERWS 2020 to 2024 financial plan. As an update, Contract 1, which would be the treatment plant supply mains to Topbridge Reservoir, and the intake is 99% complete. That project itself is currently the ERWS staff are operating the treatment plant, and that is expected to be substantially complete as of the week of December 2nd. At the moment, our staff are operating 21 days straight. They're operating up to 4 hours a day, running the plant and pumping water to the reservoirs. It's part of the contractual obligation that the contractor systems must be proven to be able to operate for 21 days by our staff. So that's currently underway. Contract 2, which involves the force mains to Springwood, is 100% complete. And right now, our staff have been periodically flushing the lines, making sure that the water does not go stagnant in anticipation of the current 21-day test. So all that went fairly well. The ERWS 2020 to 2024 financial plan, it sets out the financial requirements needed to advance the objectives of the bulk water supply to the joint venture communities. Proposed capital budgets required to complete capital items to facilitate operation of the ERWS treatment plant. Also included staffing requirements and other expenditures to effectively operate the ERWS infrastructure to meet legislative and health authority requirements. The proposed 20 to 2024 financial plan includes funding for a new capital project to construct waste settlement ponds infrastructure. This project must be completed by the summer of 2020 to meet the summer water demands. Some of the other construction activities that are going on, there's the generator. So the water treatment plant generator has been tested and load tested and passed the test, and we will be installing the automatic transfer switch equipment previously identified in the budgets shortly. The current deficiency lists under Contract 1, there are 24 items. Actually, there are less now, but some of the typical things that are currently are on that list are, for example, to provide the fire system test reports, and in brackets is the value estimated for those reports. You'll see for each item there's always a value that's estimated there that we are holding on to. Repair damaged siding is a typical thing that we're working on right now. You'll see item E there in the report on page 3 of 6 of the report. Metal building and precast wall lateral support calculations and verification. This is just from the building itself. There were some calculations that need to be provided to the consultant to complete the records, and that was worth $100,000 we were hanging on for that, but that's now been finished. So the other items are fairly minor, and they do not have not held up the commissioning or testing of the plant itself. Total value, again, minus $100,000, so we're at about $38,000 right now, and some minor deficiencies that have to be rectified by the contractor. The type of deficiencies we're talking about now would not hold up a substantial completion claim. So, we're also working on legacy documentation. This would be such things as operation and maintenance manuals, safe work procedures, standard operating procedures. Those are all being worked on right now, and they'll be finalized at substantial completion. These documents are very important and remain as a legacy to the city for not only training staff, but as reference for staff in operating the treatment plant. We're fine-tuning the staffing hours of operation of the plant right now during the 21-day test. That's one thing that's going on. As I said, contract 2 is 100% complete. We estimate, in terms of a ribbon-cutting ceremony, we're shooting for, at the moment, January 9th, 2020, at 10 a.m. in the water treatment plant as a target date. Further information will be coming forward on that. Just, again, a quick update on the status, financial status. Under Contract 1, right now, we have a surplus of $85,000. Contract 2, $161,000. The automatic transfer switch project, we estimate a surplus of $115,000. Overall, $362,000 surplus for the whole ERWS projects. Now, the waste settlement pond project. The treatment plant generates wastewater effluent. The plant itself is 99% efficient, but there is a 1% waste discharge that happens. During the commissioning process, it's become clear that the quantity of the effluent produced when it needs to be discharged is much higher than the permit allows, and represents a restriction on the water plant capacity. We need to rectify this to meet summer demands. There were a number of projects put forward. The technical committee zeroed in on treatment ponds. The cost of the settlement ponds, the breakdown is listed in the report, but it's estimated to be in the neighborhood of $500,000. 30,000 of that will be this year in terms of design costs, and the other 470 will be next year to complete the project itself. In terms of the 2020 to 2024 financial plan, Table 2 is a summary of the financial plan expenditures themselves. Breaks it down in terms of administration, operations, and minor capital, and also identifies the share for the partners with what they can expect. It's been prepared for the consideration by the ERWS Management Board. Table 1 attached outlines the detailed total ERWS capital and operational costs, and Table 2 summarizes the costs. The recommendations are as per the report.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring that all in so it stayed in line together, but I need first a mover and a seconder for the agenda. Go there, Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Director Rogers. All those in favor? Thank you. Adoption of minutes. I need a mover and a seconder, Director Wallace and Councillor O'Brien. All those in favor? I will get the titles sorted out eventually. Thank you. Yeah, that's it, exactly. I need a mover and a seconder for the recommendations for item 8 under reports. Moved by Director Rogers, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Reports. Mr. Butterworth, we're back on the agenda again. Eight 8.2.
8.2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So 8.2 relates to amending the 2019 budget. The ERWS budget was approved by this board on February 6, 2019. And in the September 5th meeting, there was an amendment made to the capital plan by adding $380,000. Further changes partly due to the settlement pond and some other capital accounting changes that we've done. So what we have is moving some of the money that was in the water treatment plant for ATS. It should have been labeled as equipment, so we moved it out of the water treatment plant budget into an equipment budget. The lab equipment was also in the water treatment plant capital account. We moved that out into equipment as well. The intake is showing itself to be $326,000 over budget because the contingencies that were in the project were all allocated under the water treatment plant budget. So we're also proposing to move $326,000 of that contingency out of the water treatment plant budget to the intake to cover that shortfall, as well as $6,000 for the joint transmission plans. So that's just moving money around so that our revised budget, we're not over budget in our capital plan. It's no additional money. We've also transferred $30,000 relating to the settling ponds consulting out of the operating budget, where we had a contingency in there that so far has not had to be used for 2019. So we're transferring the $30,000 out of the operating into the capital plan. So those are the changes we're proposing for the 2019 amended ERWS budget.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience on this? Sir?
As far as the wastewater discharge is concerned, does that include the chemicals that are needed to clean the filter fabrics in the filter system? So is that a toxic product, if you like?
I will pass that to, okay.
If I may, Your Worship, the chemical cleans themselves, the amount of waste produced by the periodic chemical cleans is quite small compared to the regular back flushing that goes on. It's the water that's result of the back flushing that ends up in the ponds. The actual chemical cleans will be sent to a waste equalization tank and then pumped into the sanitary distribution system for treatment.
You have a follow-up, I'm assuming.
Follow-up, do you have any idea of the volume of waste backflush discharge that will have to be disposed of, the solids?
The regular backwashing, again, it depends on our production rate and also what's going on in the river itself. But basically 1% of the water that's produced or drawn in from the river, 1% of the demand will be waste, and it will be directed to the ponds themselves.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, I need a mover and a seconder for the recommendation. Moved by Councillor O'Brien, second by Director Wallace. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. No new business arising from the delegations. We'll move on to new business. Does any members of the board have any new business? Seeing none. Move for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Wallace, or Director Wallace, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. All those in favor? Thank you. This one's yours, isn't it?
You want to take a recess before ERWS?
Yeah.
Scott's not here.
Okay.
He was here by 10. He said he would be here
All
by
right.
It's 9:48.
9:48? Yep. We're going to take a 10-minute break because we finished a little bit early. So we'll take that and we will be back at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We now have all AWS Management Board members here, and we'd like to carry on and call the Aerosmith Water Services Joint Venture Management Board regular meeting of Monday, November 25th to order. And I'd like to respectfully recognize that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish First Nations, and we appreciate the hospitality of the City of Parksville for this meeting. So if I could have a motion to approve the agenda as published. Moved by Mayor Main, seconded by Councillor Harrison. All those in favor? Approved. Can I also have a motion for the adoption of the minutes of the Aerosmith Water Service Management Board meeting of September 5th, 2019? Moved again by Mayor Main and seconded by Councillor Harrison. All in favor? Approved. Okay, we have no invited presentations, no delegations, correspondence, or unfinished business, so we'll move right on to reports. And 8.1 is the Aerosmith Water Service 2020 to 2024 financial plan. And has this been presented? Vaughn, are you presenting this one? Okay, thank you.
If I may, before the board is the Aerosmith Water Service 2020 to 2024 financial plan. The 2020 to 2024 financial plan sets out the financial requirements needed for the AWS staff to carry out necessary operations and projects for the 2020 fiscal year and beyond. Without this plan, the administration, operations, and other major maintenance would be delayed or halted due to insufficient funds. Our recommendations are as per the report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Ferrer before we move forward on this? Okay, could I have a motion then to accept the recommendations and move? Now I'll ask for clarity in this. Do we need to move all together, or can we move? Do we have to move them individually? Okay, well, someone prepared to move items 1, 2, and 3? Moved again by Councillor Harrison and seconded by Mayor Main. Any discussions or questions with respect to the financial report and the financial plan for the 5-year period? Seeing none. All those in favor of the recommendations? That motion is carried. We had no delegations, and under new business, I'd ask if there's any questions or comments from the public, from the audience. Again, with respect to Aerosmith Water Service. Seeing none, have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Director Main, seconded by Councillor Harrison. And I'm glad you came down for this. Anyhow, and I also want to recognize we had here with us today Director Wallace and Councillor O'Brien, who are both members of the Englishman River Water Services one. So, okay, thank you very much. Motion on adjournment. We've got to vote on it. No, okay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.